The book I'm going to present today is Carry On, written by Rainbow Rowell in 2015. The story follows Simon Snow, whom we can see in blue here, and who is dubbed as the worst chosen one who's ever been chosen. This story takes place in a magical world and in a magical school of Watford. The novel is a kind of parody of other classics of the same genre, such as Harry Potter, Percy Jackson, and many other books with a chosen one hero. The main protagonists are Simon Snow, as I shown before, Basilton Pitch, who is Simon's love interest and also some kind of anti-hero. Then we have Penelope Bunce, who is Simon's best friend, and Agatha, another one of Simon's love interest and a friend of the group. But we do not only have major characters who are interesting, there are also many secondary characters who hold great importance and meaning in this book. We have the mage, who is the headmaster of Watford and some kind of dictator of this magical world. And then we have Lucy, who is Simon's mom, and she is a ghost telling her own story through a war book, and it is interesting to see how her story is a reflection sometimes of Simon's own. We also have Ebb, who is the goat herd of the school. She kind of has a figure of Hagrid in Harry Potter series, and she is the actual chosen one, which makes her even more interesting. The story deals with the theme of duty, family, love and power in a modern fairy tale which does not always end well. This novel's youth embarks on a quest for knowledge, all the while trying to deal with their power and powers. It's a very political time in the book. With this analysis, we will try to answer the question: what literary devices or concepts does Carry On use to empower the youth? The first literary device used is speech acts, or rather the concept of speech acts. The magic of this world literally works with speech. Spells are really speech acts. In order to cast a spell, you need to believe in what you are saying and say it with the intent to see the thing happen. According to John L. Austin, and to quote, "Perfomative utterances do not describe or report or constate anything at all, are not true or false, and the uttering of the sentence is or is a part of the doing of an action, which again would not normally be described as saying something." This description fits perfectly the magic system of this world. Speech acts are then used a lot in this novel. Every spell can be considered one, and almost every performative utterances can become a spell. For instance, the scene where the mage wants Simon to leave the school and the latter refuses. He tries to use magic by saying, I'm just looking for it. "Keep it together, suck it up, steady on, hold fast." Those are all spells who are supposed to make the mage stop and to help Simon take control of the situation. This is exactly what one could say in such a situation, but without the magic. Magic is of course used during fights and dangerous situations then. Like when a dragon attacked the school in book 3, it delivers the message that magic is often better than violence, because magic, we need to think about speech acts every time magic is placed in this novel. So speech acts are a way of avoiding direct confrontation and minimizing destruction. The same way dramatic impact is created by plays like Shakespeare's and others, who would rather have characters engaging in witty battles of speech or poetry or talking together rather than have a fist fight or someone drop a bomb. Magic holds power, and as is the case in real life, not everyone has a right freedom of speech or an ability to perform illusionary utterances. In this world, people who had too little power or not enough magic in them were not accepted in Watford. That meant that only people with power could hold prestigious places or represent the magical world. That is a key element in the mage's character, as he is a revolutionary turned oppressive leader who wanted to change things and get rid of this elitist society by allowing more people and more diversity in the school. The mage, however, clings on to his newly found power and uses it to influence Simon. Through the prophecy of the greatest mage on page, let me look, on page 34, and one will come to end us, and one will bring his fall, and also through Simon's trust by saying, for example, I won't see you become anyone's pawn, Simon, on line 35, but it's a bit hypocritical when we see on page 9 that Simon, as well as everybody else, thinks of himself like as a weapon. On page 9 then, I'm the blade, the mage's sword. This is Simon's point of view. Simon feels like his magic is a weight to him. Magic represents his duty. He is made for power, destined for greatness. And subversion from that greatness is found in his relationships with friends and lovers, and it is what brings him mundanity, freedom, and more importantly, the power to be himself, the power to be free, and the power to break from what is expected of him. This is what introduces the queerness, the many different queernesses, should I say, of this story. José Esteban Munoz defines straight time, and by extension the contrary of a queer time, as such. Straight time tells us that there is no future but the here and now of our everyday life. The only futurity promised is that of reproductive, majoritarian heterosexuality. Spectacle of the state refurbishing its rank through overt and subsidized acts of reproduction. This connects to Simon through his own birth. Lucy, Simon's mom, loved the mage and believed in him. She loved what good she could see in him, as well as his revolutionary ideas. However, it is completely up to debate whether he, Davy, the mage, really ever loved her. He probably saw their union as a way of bringing the greatest mage's vessel to life. Nothing more, as she died right after, and he never took care of Simon, only used him as a pawn. Simon's relationships to those close to him all have that queerness. His relationship with his girlfriend Agatha at the beginning of the book feels like an obligation, another weight from duty. He doesn't really love her. It's just what's supposed to happen. The hero always ends up with a pretty girl. He even says on page on page 20, I'm not even sure whether I've missed her, just before seeing her again. Then we have Simon's relationship with Penny, his best friend. They both cared deeply about one another, and an exchange about their first encounter reminds me of Munoz' definition of a queer time. It went as follows. "Why didn't you listen to her?" I asked. "Because nobody knew where you came from, Simon, and you might be dangerous. You have the worst survival instincts." This proves how they do not care about what could come out of this relationship and would rather just enjoy each other's energy, each other's company. And it also shows how they do not care about authority. Penny's parents told her to stay away from him, and in answer to that, in response, she only became Simon's best friend. This shows how in their relationship they are queer because they accept themselves and define themselves outside of the norm, outside of what is expected of them. Finally, here comes Simon and Baz's relationship, the most interesting and intense of the bunch. From hate to love, these characters have always cared deeply for one another. And as we read their story, we come to realize that they never truly hated each other. As we can read when Simon is looking for Baz because he has disappeared at the beginning of the year. "I stopped looking for Baz anywhere where he's supposed to be, but I don't stop looking for him." As many other things, they just felt pressured to hate each other. This is a good representation of queer time as it is of heteronormativity. Their relationship is cemented in the present, as we can read on page 355. They have an exchange that starts with Simon saying, "Then, how do you know you're gay?" "I just do. How do you not know?" "Do know," he says. He places his finger in mine and holds my hand loosely. I try not to think. This is a complete divergence from what Simon and Agatha had. This shows how when Simon is with Baz, he is having a queer time because he does not think about the future, but he focuses on himself, his relationship with Baz, and what comes of it. He tries not to think too much. He allows himself to be himself and not the greatest mage, not the hero who is expected to do great things. And another note on Simon's and Agatha's relationship is that it was always a projection of a happy ending. And to keep on the queer theme, as Baz says it, "And I'm hopelessly in love with Simon Snow," well, it can't get any queerer than that. To conclude, we can say that Carrion empowers the youth through queer theory because it says that it is okay to be yourself even if it is not what people expect you to be, and it is okay to live your own truth and to be around people who accept you and will love you. It also empowers youth through the idea of speech acts. It gives young people the idea that if you say something, you might have the power to do it, and that it is okay sometimes to not live up to the power you are given. It is okay to fail. It is okay to not be okay with what people want you to be. It is okay to rise up against your oppressors, and it is not okay to let people manipulate you and consider you as an object instead of a person. And lastly, Carrion is a very rich book. I hope I have succeeded in giving a sense of the power and the good energies that came out of it. And to finish an opening, we could say that the question of feminism is also very present in Rainbow Rowell's book and Carry On as well. And the characters of Lucy, Penny, and Agatha are very interesting and could have an entire commentary dedicated to them and how they can sometimes challenge modern views of femininity and feminism, and how they can create their own freedom and their own narratives. Thank you for your attention, and goodbye.